Hey everybody. 6% couldn't do it live tonight, so let's see if this will work. Hopefully that heater isn't too loud. Furnace going. Michigan. Cold weather and such. Oh, I'll give a few minutes for people to trickle in here. Hey, Doug. Old McDonald. Looks like we might be pulling 5 bars of Wi-Fi. We'll see how that works. Yeah. It's I think it's like 8 degrees outside, so it's not the warmest, but I think it's 68 in it or something like here in the barn. So yeah, Mark's from Colorado. He's dealing with like negative 30s right now. He's an interesting feller. Yeah. So, yeah, we haven't really been doing too much lately. I mean, we're working on that thing, but we're hanging in there. Mainly been working on the barn, trying to make it more livable in here. It has been a while since we hosted a StreamYard. Quite a few years, I think. Try to remember how all this stuff works. But yeah, we're doing good. We're making forward progress. Unlike last winter, we're still heating with a salamander and wearing bibs and primarily freezing all winter if we wanted to go out here at all. Where most days now it's high 60s. Makes it a lot more better to work in here. Ew. Yeah. 19 degrees. That's fun. I just got rid of a Slant 680 Roadrunner. Well, not just, but did. Neighbor kid's got her now. It's going to be his project. He's 15. Give him something to do to keep him out of trouble. Hard to get in trouble with a Slant 6, though. Here you go, Doug. I threw the link in there for you. That way it's just not me talking. Normally we're all over on 6% on Monday, but he's getting ready for Autorama or something over in east side of the state. So figured we might as well do something on a Monday night. I always heat up the barn on Mondays to listen to that. So I didn't want to heat up the barn just for no reason. So figured we might as well hop up on here. There's Doug.
Have no fear, the Dougster's here. What's up, Dutch?
Hey, what's going on?
Nothing much. Getting over gout in my right big toe.
That's awesome. That's fun.
Yeah, awesome.
That's yeah.
I don't recommend it. Not fun.
I bet not. Is that heater like ridiculously loud or no?
No.
Perfect. I was worried about that. It's almost to the
I
shut
can
off.
barely hear it.
That's good. The old Wi-Fi adapters, they're not working, so we're running up my work phone hotspot. It's gonna be great.
So you get all glitchy. Please be patient.
Yeah. Well, that one's got unlimited hotspot, so that one's sitting by the door because that's the only place where it's gonna get signal at.
Right. Well, the good news is if things were to go south, as long as I'm still connected, you can come back and we won't have to restart.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So did you hear about... Oh, go ahead, Dutch.
Nope. Go ahead.
Okay. Did you hear about the No Name Nationals Edelbrock thing?
I didn't.
Okay. If you're enrolled in the No Name Nationals and you are issued a number, Shane Polito, who's an engineer for Holly Group or Edelbrock Group, will extend to all known registered No Name National competitors basically wholesale pricing for all Edelbrock Group's items.
No.
That's huge.
Good time to buy an AVS too.
Yeah. I already got 2 of those.
I thought I was going to get a deal on one today. I seen one, just the box was on Marketplace for $100. And I started looking at it, and it was just a regular 1406 that was in the box.
Oh, somebody stuffed a 1406 in an AVS 2 box.
People said it was a brand new carb. I'm like, no, no.
It's a brand new carb.
Yeah. Thought I was going to get lucky for $100.
That would have been the deal of the fucking year.
And it was local.
The cheapest I've seen was in Jackson, Michigan over the summer, and it was $150.
I looked at that one, but me wanting to drive the Jackson's very low on the ambition scale.
Yeah, I know what you mean. When I got my tunnel ram, I drove all the way to Kokomo, Indiana for that one, but I got it at a smoking deal. But yeah, 3 hours one way. Nah, had to be a tunnel ram.
Yeah. Yep. Did you get the AVS 2s on the tunnel ram yet, or
Yes, AVS 2s are on the tunnel ram.
did you get your wood spacers on there too?
Yep, my wood spacers are on it too. I found out the hard way that my K&N stub stacks in stock form will not fit on my AVS 2s, so I had to modify them, and then I'm going to have to extend the bottom of them because the AVS 2, just like a Thunder Series, has that big secondary tower, like a choke tower, and that's one of the problems. The stub stack won't fit around it. But I read up they can be modified, so I got one to where it fits right, but it's still that much away from the ceiling from where the carb's airbox sits. So I'm going to have to extend them in some way. I'll get it done.
Well, if you need to use the TIG welder, let me know.
Oh, this is all plastique.
Oh,
But yeah.
well, I got that fancy TIG welder that does stainless. If you want to go stainless.
Ooh. I haven't done any TIG welding since 1996.
I did it today.
Oh, is your TIG welder on the work truck?
Oh, there's one of them on the work truck.
Okay. Oh, you have one in the shop too? Okay.
One in the work truck's a lot more fancy.
I bet it is. It's probably blue, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I like blue.
It's like
Red's okay, but blue's better.
12 inches long by like 8 or 6 inches wide. It's
Really?
the Miller backpack one. It's actually got a little strap on it. You can carry it around with you. It only weighs like 7 pounds.
Oh, cool. Well, yeah, that'd be perfect for what you're doing, because it's not like you can bring the work to the truck, so you're gonna have to bring the welder to the work. That's a good idea.
It kicks butt though. Like when you hook that thing to 220, it'll burn 1/4 inch plate.
Oh, I bet it will. Those things are flamethrowers when you got them all chooched up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I was really good when I was going to the tech center. I was taking welding, and I first got started on gas welding and actually got pretty good at it. And then moved over to arc welding and MIG welding, and then I rounded out my senior year with TIG. And basically, steel TIG is just like gas welding. So I had that down pat. I had the muscle memory and everything. That was easy. If you want me to turn something aluminum into a useless blob, yeah, I'm your guy.
Yeah, they had a good deal a couple winters ago because I needed to get a new MIG welder. So I bought one of the Menards ones. I've screwed that thing 7 ways from Sunday. It's a piece of junk.
No, you get what you pay for.
Yeah, it was a $300 welder new, but I got it for like $150. But it didn't exhaust one time. But I've actually been looking at those Yes welders. I've heard a lot of good things about those.
Really? I've been looking at older, not Lincoln, not the old Tombstone, but I've been looking at some older arc welders that have the TIG conversion unit that piggybacks onto the top of it. And I've been eyeballing, I would like to have a welder in the shop, and I think stick and TIG would be a pretty nice, pretty effective unit to have in the shop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's that little backpack one at work does. Yeah, it doesn't do much for penetration on stick though, even when it's hooked to 220.
Man, my friend Brandon, the dude's lucky is what he is. He's just always, things just fall into his lap. And this is the guy that built a man cave of a barn. And then one of his friends comes over, takes a look around, and he goes, God, a gantry crane would be nice in here. He goes, and Brandon says, yeah, that would be nice. He goes, I got one. For sale for blah, 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 smoking deal. And so, yeah, now Brandon has to pour footings for it and everything. But yeah, he's got the legs, the gantry, the actual trolley, the whole shebang. So he's going to have an overhead crane in his shop. And yeah, nice. I'm jealous. Then another a common friend of ours goes, hey, I need to get this welder out of my shop. It'll be perfect in your shop. So here you go. Anytime that I need it, I'm coming over to use it. And he goes, well, okay. He goes, how much you got to have for it? He says, nothing. Just take it. Oh. This thing, it's a 3-piece Miller stack-up unit. It's 7 foot tall.
Jesus.
And it's 4 foot wide. 3 pieces. Yeah. Yeah, you over on top of all the other cool stuff he has, yeah, that you take a look at that Miller welder and your eyes buck out of your head.
Takes up a lot of real estate, though.
Yeah, it does, but he can do anything with that. His barn is pretty big. Well, the same guy who gave him the welder used to deal in machinist equipment. He would buy rehabilitate and sell machinery. So he got Brandon a lathe that has a 12-foot bed on it, and he gave it to Brandon, but it needs a $600 gear to get her up and going. But still, it's a nice lathe, just needs a gear. And then the guy who gave that to Brandon goes, if you got another lathe, we can make the gear. just can't use it on that one.
Yeah. I got offered a free lathe if I got it out of my buddy's parents' basement, but we went over to try and budge the thing. I don't know how they got it in there. It's got to weigh every bit of 600-700 pounds.
Yes.
It's just there's no way to move it without disassembling the whole thing, and
that's
ambition's
probably the
not that
only way
high.
you're going to be moving it is one piece at a time.
Right.
But then again,
And it's
the lathe in that shop would be tits.
yeah. Well, the unfortunate thing is they removed all the 220 power from downstairs, so there's not even any way to test it. So you don't know until you pull it out if the motor's good or any of that stuff. You just assume
depending
that
on what it is, the motor should be pretty simple to change on that.
could, or it could be an $800 paperweight.
It could be an $800 paperweight, yes. But a lot of times, most of the time, you can go to an electrical service and probably have that OG motor rehabilitated.
Yeah.
Because I want to say, I think there's a place in Allegan that does that. The big industrial motors.
I think there's actually a place in Ionia that does it. Easton Electric or something like that. I know my dairymen have it done occasionally.
Okay. Well, that'd be a heck of a lot closer than Allegan.
Yeah. It's. I don't know. That's. I mean, how often? I don't know how often I'd use a lathe.
It would be one of those things to where it may sit and collect a lot of dust until you have a use for it. Then it could be you could use the thing for 4 months straight. Or now that you have it, you're like, hey, wait a minute. I could put this in the lathe. I could put that in the lathe too. I could make this on the lathe. I could make that on the lathe. So you never know. It could be a big $800 paperweight. Otherwise, or it could be one of the most useful things in your shop. Depends on what you're doing.
Yeah, I got some new wheels the other day. Did I show you those?
No.
I got some 15 by 3 Kraggers.
15 by 3? Nice. I think you did. Yeah. Those things are obscenely heavy for what they are, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. It's just like the only thing that's there is just like the wheels end right where the curves are. There's no thinner than that. They're a lot lighter than 15 by 10s, but
no, that is that an old school Krager? Okay, so it's a sandwich wheel.
Yep. Well, no, it's an SS. It's a Krager SS.
Yeah, it's a Krager SS, but it's not fully aluminum. No. It's like a chrome. It's like a chrome top and an iron back or something like that.
Yeah,
they're really heavy. It being 3-inch, who knows?
My grandpa bought them in like 1972.
Cool.
So I've been bothering my dad about getting them for years, and he was going to put them on the Dart that my grandpa bought the wheels for originally, and he never got around to them. So he's one of those guys that he's fantastic when it's Christmas time. You just get something out of the barn. You don't buy it nothing.
Then again, 9 chances out of 10, whatever you're getting out of the barn is going to be cool anyway. So it's not like you're getting a jar of peanuts or a pack of socks.
Yeah, it's
not saying anything wrong with that.
Socks are expensive.
Yeah, especially good socks.
Yeah, they certainly don't last as long as they used to. It feels like.
What does?
Yeah, that's true.
It's really sad that you get some pieces of equipment that were made 50 plus years ago and it needs a little rehab, but other than that, it'll run just great. And then you can go buy a brandy new piece of equipment, even made by the same manufacturer, and the thing's utter junk in 2 years.
Yeah, it's like that welder. I mean, what use is a welder that doesn't penetrate? Cranked her all the way up to the moon. Don't do nothing.
Judging by some of the exhaust shop welds I've seen, apparently their MIG welders don't penetrate either when you see these little popcorn boogers all piled up on top of it and 150,000 whiskers hanging off of the thing. And you're like, somebody got paid to do this?
Yeah, that's now my friend Hillbilly. He did exhaust for many years, and he's an artist. Doesn't do it
Yes.
anymore though. But he's one of those guys that he did a full 2.5-inch exhaust on the station wagon. And it looked like it was made out of a kit. It was all one piece.
Yep.
And it took him like 45 minutes. He bent it all the way to from the manifold to the muffler.
Easy.
He
You've
did.
got to love
He
those
did.
guys. Yep. We had a maintenance guy years ago. His name was Bernie at the place I was working at. And that dude, he made everything look like a cakewalk. Everything looked easy when Bernie was doing it. Bernie got disrespected a lot by upper management. They just didn't like the way that Bernie rolled because Bernie would just tell you outright. If he thought you were full of crap, he'd tell you so. And if he thought what you did wasn't right, he'd tell you so. So management really didn't like Bernie, even though Bernie was the man. And so Bernie finally got disrespected enough to where he found himself a new job and left. Well, the whole maintenance department got flipped up on its ear because when Bernie left, Bernie took all of his tools with him, which was 80% of what all the guys were using, because Bernie's like, as long as you don't wreck my stuff, go ahead and use it. And he had torque amplifiers for all the way up to like 2-inch and all the way down to 1/4 inch, and just an absolute treasure trove of great tools. And yeah, once Bernie left and took all of his tools with him, the maintenance department was basically addled for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know what you got till it's gone.
Oh yeah, that's my one buddy. He's an engineer, and he worked for Stellantis, or however you say it.
Yep.
And he actually
Anti-Chrysler.
He started working. I didn't know it, but he started working at my dad's plant, and my dad's a maintenance guy, and engineers and maintenance don't cross paths a whole lot,
No.
unless there's an issue.
Yes.
And apparently they were having a meeting. My buddy engineer, he's complaining because they had a couple forklifts down, and they're like, "Oh, you got to wait till Ransom gets time to fix it. He ain't got time right now." And then they were trying. He texts me and he says, "When the hell did you start working at the plant?" I said, "I don't work at no plant." And he says, "Well, there's somebody here the same last name as you." And I said, "Yeah, that's my dad." And he's like, so he had to go find him and meet him and all that stuff. He thought it was super funny.
Right.
So now he says he'll try and screw with him here or there. Old man needs that.
Oh yeah. Especially if he's the kind of guy who will dish it right back as hard as he's getting, which that was Bernie too.
Yeah, Dad's one of those silent guys, but when something comes up, he's got quite the joke.
Is he one of those guys who doesn't say much, but when he does speak, he says something?
Yeah. Yep.
This one old boy I used to hang with, Scott, he's just quiet and reserved. And he's one of the very few people we'd go out drinking and we'd get all lubed up. And usually even the quiet guys start turning into ratchet jaw. And Scott was just as quiet half of the bag as he was stone sober. He was one of the very few guys that wouldn't loosen up. Yeah.
Look, Tall John's in here.
Tall John? Nice.
Yeah. Haven't seen John in a while. He hasn't been online.
He's out hiding.
Yeah. He's probably getting all that snow, so he's stuck inside.
Right?
Like Tennessee was getting hit pretty good.
for a change, we're not seeing all of that stuff. Usually we're the one that's getting dumped on with the snow.
Last year I plowed once. The year before that I plowed twice. So
That's
don't get
because you
snow.
have a plow. If you didn't have the plow, the weather would be 3 times worse.
Yeah. Well, as long as you get ready for it, then you don't get any snow.
This is true. There is probably 2 miles away from the house. There is a cottage that has a old, either it's a Farmall M or a Farmall H with a back blade. I don't know if it's super or regular, but it's a larger size Farmall with a back blade. And I know of that thing sitting in the same spot for 20 years. So I've had half a mind to just go knock on a door with a pocket full of money and see if I couldn't get my hands on that Farmall. Be good content to get it running. And if I had something to plow my driveway with and pull equipment around and whatnot.
Yeah. I had that 8N that I got a couple of years ago that's now dead.
Yeah, that would actually, the 8N or a 9N would be a little better for what I'm doing, because I don't need a big old tractor like that Farmall, but if the deal's right.
Yeah, I got that 8N I got had a loader and everything on it, but it lost compression in two cylinders, and I had half of mine. I was going to rebuild the motor, but it's just easier to buy another tractor because those things are so cheap.
Yeah, but then again, a dingle ball hone, or not dingle ball, but a hone with stones and some piston rings and some valve seats might just be what the doctor ordered.
The problem was because those motors are sleeved, was the one sleeve started working loose.
Yes. I know exactly what you mean.
No, it was in 1948, so kind of due for some kind of maintenance.
Yeah. Well, a friend of mine made a trade years ago. He got a Dodge, turnkey Dodge plow truck, in exchange for rehabilitating their Super M tractor, which they had ran right into the dirt. And he got everything out of it, pulled the engine apart, and then realized that all the work, the engine was absolutely wore out. Like everything, it needed a line hone, it needed the cam valley rehoned, like everything needed to be redone. And he actually said, there's no way that I'm going to be able to stay within budget. I'd lose my shirt if I were to rebuild this engine. So last I knew, he was looking for a Super M engine that was in better shape to rebuild than the one that he had to work with, just to hopefully save a few bucks.
Right. Yeah, I got a whole bunch of implements and all kinds of stuff for that Ford. Just no ambition to really work on it right now.
I know what you mean. Especially when you have a whole garage full of cool cars.
Yeah, well, the projects are getting less and less. They're getting more and more finished.
Especially when you cut a third of the car off and it does a permanent wheelie in your shop.
Well, that'll be fixed in the next couple of weeks. So
right.
Got to bring the other half of it in here and do the exact same, and wheel the other part of it outside. I think it's going to go relatively well, though. Dissecting the A-pillars sucked. They made like 4 different pieces of A-pillar come into one, and it was trying to make that so it's because the sedans and the wagons, the windshield's actually 1.5 inches longer, and it's at different angles, so you have to use that. And yeah, it's the donor car is a 4-door.
Okay. So the 4-door and the wagon have the 1.5 inches whatever versus the coupe.
But the whole A-pillar is just not usable.
But the
Not
cowl's
without,
the same, minus all the A-pillars.
yeah. Well, just
Okay.
the windshield portion.
So you can graft in, should be fine,
Yeah.
in theory.
In theory, it's gonna go fine.
Right.
It's been talked about for many years, but no one's really had the ambition to do it. So,
Hey,
I'm taking an 86 Fifth Avenue and I'm making a 77 Aspen out of it. The floor pans are the same, the frame rails are the same, everything's the same. We're gonna make it a 2-door.
right.
And it's gonna eliminate all of the rust issues that car has.
So that front end of that fifth has the transverse torsions and all that?
Yep.
No doubt. Well, hey, somebody's got to do it right. Might as well be you.
Well, it's a cheap restoration, $600 Fifth Avenue, and then you get a rust-free car.
I think a sleeper Fifth Avenue would be a lot of fun.
There's a guy on the internet on Facebook. He just had he got something done on Hot Rod Magazine, but he's got a 5.7 with a turbo and a fifth. Cop car wheelies or wheels and everything, dogfish hubcaps.
Oh, yeah. A friend of mine said he has one for me. I won't see it until next year's No Name Nationals, but he says he's got one off of a Diplomat. I'm like, okay, that means I only need one now.
What are you looking for?
One 15-inch rally wheel, or 15-inch Mopar cop wheel.
Well, there's a whole pile of them in the corner.
Really? Last
Yeah.
time I was over, you couldn't find them.
Well, I found them. They were on the car.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's why I couldn't find them.
You got two, I'll buy them.
I don't care. Take them. I don't need them.
Score.
The only Steelies I run don't have nubs for hubcaps.
Yeah, that's right. I really like that informative video you had where you're showing the differences between the Volare cop wheel versus the actual cop wheel. How to tell the difference. And one of them is no nubs for the hubcap.
Yeah, that's a big misconception. They never should have done what they did with the Magnums and put that same wheel in a 15x7 because they made, was it 6,000 Magnum GTs?
Mm-hmm.
So now there's 6,000 sets of those wheels plus out there. And everybody that has them for sale says they're a Super Coupe wheel, but they never take the time to measure the dang things. And that's the difference between a $200 set of wheels and a $1,500 set of wheels.
My friend had a set of those wheels that he bought through direct connection through the dealership. And because they had that wrinkle finish paint on them and everything, and they were meant to be put onto a Super Coupe, but he ended up putting them on something else. But yeah, he had them squirreled away in his Mopar hoard. I imagine that, a Mopar guy who's a hoarder, right, Dutch? And he pulled these things out, and yeah, direct connection boxes, the whole shebang. It's like, what? Oh, y'all are going to put these on my whatever. And now in hindsight, you're like, you know what those are worth?
Well, it's I actually talked to one of the old guys that made those wheels because they were made at the Motor Wheel Company, which, remember the Motor Wheel Company out of Lansing?
No, I didn't know of Motor Wheel Company out of Lansing.
Yeah, it was just they made the trying to think what the heck those wheels are called. They had a whole line of like Krieger knockoffs and stuff like that, but they actually, all the Super Coupe wheels and Magnum GT wheels went through and got painted at the Motor Wheel Company. And I talked to one of the guys that I brought the Super Coupe to a car show, and he's like, I painted those wheels, and that was the most horrible, disgusting paint. And then the EPA actually, when they were finishing that run, made that paint illegal because it was so bad. But they used to get the finish right on those, they would put them on a lathe or not a lathe, well, almost like a lathe, but they would like spin them and then paint them. There was no formal process because there was only so many of those wheels made. They're just redneck.
Wow.
He said that's why none of them had the same finish, because one guy would angle the gun different than the next guy, so they would be darker or lighter depending on how the coat went.
Or Charlie's sober and Eric's half in the bag when he paints. So,
Yeah,
and none of them give a damn.
No.
It's so funny when you watch some of these restoration shops and they do these just absolute pristine restorations where everything's masked off and everything's like the paint is perfect, even the blackout and everything is just letter perfect, and the badges are on nice and straight, and yeah, perfect, right? Those guys on the assembly line didn't give two shits. They just they did their thing, slapped it together, and sent it.
Because the Volaris were made out of 3 different plants, and there's a very definite distinguishment between a St. Louis built car and a Hamtramck car. Just quality. I don't know if they just drank less down in St. Louis or what, but the St. Louis cars are a much, much better built car. And then you get the wagons. Yeah. The wagons were built, I think it was the New Jersey plant. Oh, did I lose you?
No.
Oh.
The Hamtramck area is primarily Polish, so you probably had a whole bunch of drunken Polish guys there.
Don't speak too loud. My wife might be able to hear you.
Oh, I wasn't saying anything bad. I love the Polish people.
The other fun thing is I took apart a St. Louis car and I found 4 build sheets in it. That's the only car I ever found. 4 build sheets. That's the only car I ever found any build sheets in out of all the ones I've owned. And they were all to that car. But that car didn't have any options. So there was only like 6 or 7 lines filled out.
Okay. So where were they? Did you have one stashed in the headliner and one in the back seat?
No. They stopped doing that. They did the favorite spot for Volaris from everything I've seen is right under the passenger side footwell in the back seat. So right where you put your feet if you're in the back seat in the passenger side.
Okay.
I found one there. I found one on the driver's side, and the body plug had actually gotten poked up, and part of the build sheet was sticking out of the side of that body plug. That's the only reason I ever pulled the carpet in that car, because there's a build sheet there. And then I found that one. I found one under the passenger floorboard, and then one right on the transmission tunnel.
Weird. Was it an early run car?
No.
Okay.
It was 80. The very end of the platform. I've never seen any behind the glove box. Never. Like my grandpa, he was into the 65, 66 bodies at one time, and he said that behind the glove box was big in those ones.
Mm-hmm. A guy that I used to be
found different spots to stash them. Oh.
You're starting to freeze up, Dutch.
Oh, I can hear you now.
Okay. A guy that I used to be friends with, he had a 73. It began life as a Sebring Plus, and he turned it into a 73 Roadrunner. When he took the headliner out of the car, he found one of those IBM punch cards in the headliner, and it had a big red stamp across it that said rejected, and for roof damage. and then he decoded the fender tag, and the car came with a vinyl top, but it had no indication on the fender tag that it having a vinyl top. And what had happened is they figured it out. The armature that come in to install the dash for the worker to hold the dash while they bolted it in, it must have jostled up and struck the roof, and there was a dent inside the roof, and they just dollied out the dent and put a vinyl top on it and sent it.
Yeah, it's well, that 77 I got, I found that vinyl top, but I don't have the fender tag for it, but there's a whole bunch of damage under all that paint. So I'm wondering if it got hail damaged on the lot and then somebody decided to put a vinyl top on it.
Oh, I'm not surprised. So back in the day, Earl Scheib would put a vinyl top on anything for $20.
This had all the holes for the factory trim and everything because it was a H1 Halo top car, so it came all the way back on the C-pillar and everything.
Oh, okay. Did Valaris come T-tops?
Yeah, starting in 77 they did.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, T-tops were offered on the Super Coupe, but you could not get a T-top on a Richard Petty car.
There was a larger car of the late 70s that got T-tops too, and I want to say it was
Magnum.
Magnum, yes, T-top Magnum, and then there was. I know they made T-top. Yeah, Magnum and Cordoba had T-tops or sunroofs.
And the Murata.
The Murata, yes. Speaking of Muratas, have you seen Mike Cotton's Pro Street Murata that he calls Cotton Candy? That thing's pretty cool.
The interior in that is awesome.
It is. The whole car's awesome. It brings me back to when I was a little kid.
90s Pro Street.
Man. Back halves and enormous tires and oh yeah.
The finest that Farmer Tom could put together on a Saturday. I passed on one last year. That was absolutely horrible. It was all just square stock and arc welds and just they used a steel drum to tub it.
Oh, I've seen that many times as wheel wells. I've seen a lot of tub pickups that had 55-gallon drum wheel wells.
Yeah, the car was the body was in really nice shape, but it was my local gas guy that refills all of our gas stuff for work that picked it up. His son picked it up to pull the 440 out of it, and he's like, "Oh, you're the only guy that would probably buy this because it's so jacked up." And I looked at the car and I told him, I was like, I'm at like $700. Like, I'm not a drag racer. I don't think this thing. Oh yeah, he's like, "No, I got to be at 2,500." Yeah, I was like, "You just told me you paid $2,000 for the car and you pulled the 440 out of it. Like, you got your money out of it." It had 440 with a tunnel ram and supposed to be a whole bunch of work done, and he ended up selling it to a guy in Wisconsin for like $1,200.
Yep.
And it was like 2 days later, it was on Racing Junk. Remember racingjunk.com?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's still going, I guess, which doesn't surprise me because guys like my dad live on that thing. That Dave, and yeah, it was right on Racing Junk for like $4,000. Somebody bought it again.
And they're trying to sell the roller for $4 large?
It's gone. They must have got their money out of it.
Must have. Yeah,
They didn't
some of
even
that,
use new pictures. They used the same pictures when it was for sale here.
of course. Of course. Why put in more effort than you have to?
Yeah.
You know, it's really funny when you start looking at some backwoods engineered stuff, and some stuff is just right on the money. Like whoever did this did it right and did it nice. Then you got other guys, they look like they assembled it with a welder, a screwdriver, and a case of beer.
I got the kid a go-kart this year, and I went and looked at a couple other ones. I went and looked at this one local, and I'm looking at it, and it was homemade, which homemade stuff's fine as long as it's
Fine.
safe.
Right.
And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, this thing's not good. And I was like, does it run? He's like, yeah, but you're too big for it. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, when we built it, it was too short, so we made it longer. The only steel I had was we used some old poles from a tent. I'm like, you used poles from a tent on a go-kart? And you let your
Yeah.
kids ride it?
Yeah, those are the guys that are like, oh, we had one that was made entirely of tent poles, and we drove that for 25 years, and it was just fine.
Least to say, I walked away from that one.
Right. Well, there's the fire department down the road from where I live. They have a scrap dumpster. They do a scrap drive all summer long, and it's kind of nice. Go throw it there, and it benefits our local fire department. I could think of worse things to do with my time. And
Right.
What's kind of funny is you drive over there, and then you're always looking. And then one day I'm like, "There's go-karts there," so I stopped in and looked at them. Yeah. And what it is they needed the motor mounts and everything, or the back half of both the carts, and they just chopped them out unceremoniously and took what they needed and discarded the rest. And yeah, I looked at both of them, and two couldn't even make one. So oh well.
Mhm.
But from a distance, like go-karts.
Yeah. Yeah, I got her a little Manco or something like that. Some weird name, but it's a name brand one. The guy had it all sandblasted, powder coated, and it needs back tires and it needs a motor. So put a nice
Keep my eyes
Predator on
peeled
there.
for a motor for you.
What's that?
I'll keep my eyes peeled for a motor for you.
Well, I think I'm just going to go down to Hobo Freight. 'Cause all it needs is a horizontal shaft, and they got those 6.5 horses, and then I can order the clutch kit right at freight from Amazon. It's like $27, and throw a new set of back tires on it, and the kit will be fine for a couple of years.
Yep.
If she wrecks it, I'll have like $400 into it. So who cares?
Exactly. One of the coolest things I've seen long ago here on the old Ubity Tubity, there was a guy that took either a 400 or a 440 Chrysler that was blown up, and he whacked it off right behind cylinder 1 and cylinder 2 on the first two cylinders. And he essentially took all the pieces, a piece of the cam, a piece of the crank, and he made a backing plate for it, used the distributor, the water pump, and everything, and he made himself a V-twin, a Chrysler V-twin.
Nice.
It was pretty slick. That was one of those things the whole time I'm watching the video, I'm going,
well, that's like did I show you pictures of that Beetle that Valari's got over there?
oh yeah, the one with the DiDamassa Pantera engine in it?
Yeah. It's got a Pantera motor in it.
Yeah.
Got it. Talk about something that wants to kill you.
Oh yeah. At the very least, the rear tires want to replace the front tires.
All Pantera motor is a Cleveland, but it has no business being in a Beetle.
That would be the biggest power plant that I've ever seen in a Beetle. I did meet a guy years ago who had a 350 Chevy in the back seat, of a Beetle. And the back windows were taken out, and they just made plates that bolted together, because anytime they had to work on it, they just unbolt those to reach in the window to work on the small block. And that thing was actually fast. So I can only imagine what Mopar's Volari's is.
Oh, that's like I seen last year at the local big car show here. There was an LS Beetle. That would just be dumb.
In the back seat or under the hood?
Under the hood.
Yeah. I've seen all sorts of under the hood swaps, but that one was they just flipped the transaxle over and then put it in the back seat. I've also seen that done with Corvairs.
Mm-hmm.
The one guy, his Corvair, he had a small block Chevy in the back seat, and he built a firewall for it and everything. He had huge sway bars on it, and that thing, it wasn't straight line fast, but that thing would corner like it was nobody's business. He tried to take it to a track, and they wouldn't allow it. They wouldn't tech him on it.
Oh,
well.
Too much horsepower. And what's a Beetle weigh? 1,600 pounds?
You know, that's a really good question. I don't know what a Beetle weighs. Well, you and I can pick up a Beetle engine and throw it in the back of a truck, no problem. So I can't imagine that thing to weigh more than 3,000 pounds. Maybe
I mean, I know a Dodge Shadow weighs 2,600 with me in it, so I guess it's 2,400.
Right. I miss my Shadow.
Me too. I need to do something with it this year. It's got a bad starter right now, so last time I moved it, I had to pull start it.
That's a 3.0 6-cylinder car, isn't it? Nice.
Yeah, I miss that car. That car is. I know if I get it back on the road, I'm gonna end up driving it in winter again. That car doesn't deserve to be driven in the winter.
No, it's too nice. Long before I knew you, long before I knew you, I remember when you had your old job and you used to park there on off of Division in that one spot. Just one day I'm cruising through and I look, and that's interesting. So yeah, I went and scoped out your car long before I knew you. Well, that thing sticks out like a sore thumb too anyway.
Yeah, Hemi Orange does that. 73 Beetles, 1,900 pounds. There we go. I wasn't far off.
Lady Duckster's car is 1,900 pounds. Wow. I shot way over. I was saying like 3,000.
70 Beetles. Tell John says 70 Beetles, 1,700 pounds.
I know a guy who is a big Beetle enthusiast, and he likes 50s Beetles. And he's got an oval window, and it's in really bad shape, but he's trying to resurrect it. He has a split window Beetle. And he's got all sorts of neato stuff. Back in the 50s, Volkswagen actually offered a supercharger, a little itty bitty supercharger to spice them up. So you could go from 28 horsepower to 33 horsepower. Ooh.
Yeah, but, it was sold by Avon. Is it just a regular hairdryer?
No, it's not a hairdryer. It's an actual, yeah. Oh, I get what you're saying. Oh man, remember about 15 years ago when the electric supercharger was all the rage?
Yeah, F-150 Lightnings.
Well, we had a guy that was a gearhead, and he had a black second gen Ram that he was all proud of. And he had went to AutoZone and bought all the big chrome letters, and he put supercharged across the hood. So this is before I realized that he was a putz. So of course a gearhead's going to see supercharged, and you're going to talk shop. And oh yeah, I got a supercharger on that. I'm like, very cool. Is it belt driven, or is it, how is it? And he goes, oh, it's electric. Electric. Yeah. Then he showed me that doohickey, and I'm like, that was the first time I had ever seen one. But yeah.
Sounds very Chuck Norris, Lone Wolf McQuade.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's bury a truck completely underground, and then we're just going to, hit the electric supercharger and just drive out.
Yeah.
That's Chuck Norris.
Yes. Yeah, well, you gotta slam that beer first. That's
right. And then no. You have to slam most of the beer, then you hand it to someone and say, "Hold my beer and watch this." That's a redneck's famous last words.
Yeah, they don't make movies like that anymore, though. They don't make movies that we'll be talking about 30 years later.
Well, you do know that Chuck Norris is not hung like a horse. Horses are hung like Chuck Norris.
Oh, look, 6%.
Chuck Norris has a third fist hidden in behind his beard.
I seen a thing the other day where Chuck Norris was quoting those and just laughing. His kid's got to have just a time with that.
Oh, everybody has a field day with the Chuck Norris jokes, to the point where even Chuck Norris himself has gotten in on the bandwagon. Hey, if you're going to be talking about me, I might as well be talking about me too, right?
Right. Yeah, that's.
I think the favorite one I've ever heard. Go ahead, Dutch.
No, go ahead.
The favorite one that I ever heard, though, was Chuck Norris flushed a condom once in 1982, soon after Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came. Coincidence?
Yeah. It's sad to think that we're going to lose all those guys in the next 10, 15 years.
Yep.
Because, I mean, Eastwood's like, 94, 92?
Oh, God. He's 100,000 years old. And he still talks the same way.
And then you look at Sam Elliott, and he's like 72.
Right. Well, you can't age when you have that big mustache, Be what's for dinner.
I think he's been gray since he was 20.
Right. Because, God, what was that one movie he was super young in and he was gray then?
Roadhouse?
Yes, Roadhouse. Or The Big Lebowski.
Yep.
Well, I knew a guy who lost all his hair at 18. I knew another guy who went gray at like 20.
Yep. Oh. I did get some more good stuff out of that dealership.
Oh, yeah, that guy that stopped and left you a note. That's cool.
I'm not sure, but he just keeps finding these stuff. And I've been there, and I thought I went through everything I could, but he just keeps finding stuff, and then sends me a message, and then it's like, yeah, your price is too high. And then we argue on price, and then I get more stuff I don't need. But
right. But then again, a lot of that stuff is NOS parts. Where are you going to find it?
Well, I bought 2 factory hitch setups the other day.
Wow.
Yeah, and not like the bumper pull. They'll actually tie into the frame.
Yeah. The real good ones.
Yeah.
So did you get them are they for full size, or are they for Dakota, or is it one size fits all?
They're for Valari.
Oh, right.
Factory tow package. That was extremely rare and hard to find.
Yes.
I have the mirrors off of a factory tow package that'll never get used because they would just scratch the crap out of a car. But
Well, not to mention, don't you have to Swiss cheese the door to mount those dadgum things?
No. They are. Oh, here, I'll grab them.
Okay. Because what I'm envisioning is like a 3/4 ton truck mirror, where you've got the 3 legs. Crash, bang, boom. Dutch is lost in the abyss. You can barely see it, ladies and gentlemen. If you look in the back of the shop, you'll see his Roadrunner, or his 43, is sitting at like launch position. The whole front end's off.
So it's got rubber stops.
Oh, yeah, that hangs off of the fender lip.
And then you bungee cord it to your fender.
Nice.
But those rubber stops are going to jiggle, and this is going to move.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I didn't even think of the temporary kind. I was thinking of ones that you actually bolt to the vehicle.
Oh. No, Valaris didn't have that, but we got that go-kart. So I'm going to put the hitch in the station wagon. And then I have a trailer out back. I'm going to downsize so it'll just fit the Valari go-kart. And the wife can haul that to shows.
You should take that 5th once you whack the whole front end off of that to graft into your 43 car. Why don't you use the trunk of that and make a trailer out of it?
There's not going to be enough left.
Oh, okay. Cool.
I'm going to be, the floor pan, there's just not going to be enough left. I'm going to be going from the trunk pan forward. So it's just going to be a trunk and what remains of a roof and a C-pillar.
Oh, so basically you're just going to be setting the shell of the 43 car onto the whole pan and everything of that 5th. Gotcha.
Yep.
Nice.
I'm going to do a rocker splice. So I'll sleeve the rockers and so I'll sleeve the rockers and hang a door, figure out where our sleeves are. Look at this guy.
Ah.
Hey. Mr. Tall John, how the hell are you?
Doing pretty good. How are you, Doug?
I cannot complain.
Just getting things hooked up. The old computer took a dump. So I've been, 6 months without a computer because I'm trying to fix things instead. I got probably about 10 videos on there wanting to come out. I can't get it to work. So that's my only complaint. I'm doing good. But I got the new computer. I got everything up working now. So
nice.
What's happening?
Nothing.
Ruben and I were just talking about you, so apparently we got to talk about you more.
That's why his ears were burning. That's why he got on.
Yeah.
They are a little warm. He did a little funny thing on our Discord channel. He changed his name and called himself. Let me look at it real quick here. It was funny. Mr. Enchilada or something. I don't remember what the heck it was.
The big enchilada.
No, carne asada.
Okay. Mr. Steak.
Yeah. And he put up a picture of a whole bunch of carne asada tacos.
Good old Ruben.
Yeah, good old Ruben. He's
Over the
he's kind of
years.
got himself out of the loop lately. He's working on his career. Did you hear about that, Dustin?
Yeah, he's a sky boy now.
Yeah, trying to be. He'll do it.
Yeah.
He's been doing it for years. So, Doug, you gonna do the what's it? No Name this year
Yeah.
coming up?
I went last year. I plan on going this year too. I don't know if I'll have my truck up and ready, but I'm slowly working on it. I picked up a set AVS2 carbs for my tunnel ram, so that'll
Yeah.
be nice.
We got to be able to get a deal on those from that new deal that they got going on.
Yeah. Actually, I got the deal of the fucking year on those. An Advanced Auto Store by me went out of business, and I got in and bought one out the door for $185.
Wow, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are good carburetors. They kind of
I'm
take what's good about an ABS and what's good about an AFB and puts them together.
right. Well, I'm looking forward to the fully being fully tunable like a Thunder series, where I can work on the secondary flap and annular boosters. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, sweet. I just picked me up a VRS just, I don't know, a week or so ago.
Cool.
So we gotta make things happen. That took on a little bit of extra work this year, and it buried me. So in addition to trying to do the racing, I'm trying to be Mr. Worky guy, and I'm sick of it. So I'm looking forward to one of you guys winning the lottery so I can retire. Anybody up? I mean, I figured you guys all played when the $1 billion one was up a week or so ago, right?
Nah. The most
No.
effective way I found to double my money is to fold it in half.
Yeah, that's about right. I like that.
I've went gambling 4 times in my life, and so far I'm negative every time. So I don't.
Yeah.
Apparently, I'm not supposed to gamble.
Well, as a matter of fact, they in the area that I grew up in, there was a large Native American tribe nearby, and I grew up around them my entire life. Well, probably 15 years ago, they fired themselves up a casino, and I've watched so many people just lose everything since that come in, because they got to go gamble. They're going to win again. Just you wait.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Well,
watching all that happen around me, yeah, kind of harshed my mellow on gambling.
Well, then you get some people that just have karma that works for them, like
Oh,
my
yeah.
own boss, like Jamie. Anytime he gets short on money, he tells me he's going to make a withdrawal. He'll do $7,000-8,000 at the casino in an hour. Every time.
I don't know how those guys do it.
Yeah, that's crazy. I'd like to know. They must have made a deal with the devil or something.
Well, he's just the nicest person in the world, though. So
He
it's karma.
is
Nice
he
people.
is a knight at the round table for sure.
Yeah. Well,
I'm-
when I was
I remember- Go
go
ahead.
ahead. Oh, that's what I hate. They need to do something different about that. When I was running Southwest Tour Southwest Tour, we raced in Vegas every year twice. And everybody that was on the crew, we'd all go to the hotel after the race. Everybody got to go down to that casino. One guy was into 21, one guy was into craps, whatever.
Yep.
And I was collecting bicentennial quarters. So I'd go down to the quarter machines and just play quarters and then come home with, I don't know, $4 or $5 worth of bicentennial quarters. And I'm up to about $600 worth. So it cost me probably, you do $20, you'd be there for a good 2-3 hours and come home with, $2-3 worth of quarters at that time anyhow.
Yeah.
Now you're going to play for hours to get one or two. But anyway, yeah, that $600 of the bicentennial quarters probably cost me $800. And
Here's a tip for you, Big Tall John. Start rubbing elbows with the ladies and gentlemen that work the local gas station cash register. You'd be surprised what old money comes through there. For a long time, I had a whole bunch of ladies that worked at gas stations, and they call me up. Hey, I've got a $2 bill for you. I've got Starbucks for you. I've got drummer boy quarters, the bicentennials. I got wheat pennies. I got half dollars. I got full dollars, and they want a few bucks for it, but why not?
Yeah.
They don't care about that stuff.
I got Blockbuster rewards if you want those.
Rewards?
There is still an operating store somewhere in America.
Got some Radio Shack stock. I mean, I got you.
Oh,
man, you're all set. You're all set. Hey, I need a resistor. Can you get me one? Yeah, them things. I kind of miss Radio Shack, actually. That's a bummer there. I got a line that does, when you bring your bottle of change into the grocery store and you dump it into the thing?
Yeah.
They got a magnet in there, so if you try to put quarters or washers or anything in there, it'll pluck them out. And he gives me all the steel pennies out of there. And I mean, there's once a month, they pull 20, 30 them things out. And they're getting to be worth something nowadays. I think they're probably, depending on where they're made, I suppose. I don't look to figure it out. I just like collecting them.
Well, they made them in all three locations. They made them in Philadelphia. They made them in Denver. And they made them in San Francisco. Yeah. And San Francisco, anything with an S on it is special because I want to say like 5% of the gross production happened in San Francisco. So anything with an S on it, keep it.
Gotcha. They got that app you can put on your phone now where you take a picture of the money and then it tells you if it's worth something. You ever seen that? I saw a commercial.
No, I still like looking things up through the old Red Book.
Yeah. I'm going to have to get into that maybe one day. Maybe I'll be rich and then we'll all go do something.
Okay, we'll hold you to that, John.
What up, Dean? So Dutch, I've just got done talking to Jed.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're trying to make plans. And I said, I got to go to Dutch's house first. I got plans. I got to go up there first. And then I still got to go out to Lunar's house. So I finally got the axle under my trailer. Finally got that taken care of. And I'm putting a new engine in the truck coming up maybe, I don't know. The engine's almost finished up. Waiting on a camshaft for it now.
You replaced the 440?
Yeah, the engine runs good, but it burns oil like crazy. I think I get probably about, when I pull into the gas station, I pay that extra money to have them fill my gas tank, and I tell them, will you check my gas and
fill the oil?
Yeah, it's horrible. I put a gallon in it to go 600 miles. It's terrible. Wow. It don't smoke. It don't. There's no leaks. That's what It just. I don't know. Anyway, it's got so much blow by. It looks like a freight train when you pop the hood. And I had to disconnect the hose going up to the air cleaner because the air cleaner is just solid mud now from oil getting up in it. And I mean, it's probably good maintenance on a K&N, but I don't have a K&N, so.
Right.
Anyway, I gotta, it needs to be re-ringed. So what I'm doing is I've got a 70 GTX. I got the motor that's being done. I'll have that done. I'm going to put that motor in the truck, break it in, dial it in, and then I'm going to go through the motor from the truck, but I'm not going to really rebuild it. I'm going to, I got a set of 446 pack pistons that are, I think that's 10 1/4, I think is what they are. And I'm just going to ball hone it and stick those in there. unless of course it's got a massive ridge, which I had the heads off a year ago and it didn't have a big ridge then. So anyway, so I'm gonna put that engine in the truck, and then when that thing's running, work on dialing that up and load that trailer and get the hell out of here.
Nice.
Well, when
I-
you come
I
see
had the-
Dutch, I'm not far away. I'll come visit you too there, Tall John.
All right, sounds good to me. We'll
He
make
only
it a-
lives like 30 minutes south.
Sweet. I got a brother. My brother-in-law lives up there too, so I don't know how close he is. I've looked up Dutch's house before, but I don't know how close. He's in Gaylord.
Oh,
Hour
that's a
and a half
minute away
north.
from where Dutch is.
Yeah, a little distance.
Yeah.
So,
Hour and a half.
Yeah.
When you're up the gate, when you're visiting your family up in Gaylord, you'll see it right from I-75. It's the Big Buck Brewery. Stop in there for a beer, Tall John. You'll be glad you did.
No, man, I hate beer. I don't drink beer.
Well,
Hey, those are
the
we went
place
back
has
to
got,
red cans. This
Yeah,
guy went back to red cans.
we punished him enough. We punished ourselves enough. That's what it comes down to.
Now I went trader on you.
What
I
you go
switched
with?
over to light beer. I'm gonna diet.
Oh, okay. All right. Are you doing, what is that, a Coors Light?
yep,
Yep.
it's
Well,
a
I
can of Coors brewed from a mountain stream. It'll set your head on fire and make your kidneys scream.
Yeah. All I know is the four-legged kind pee in that water.
But Coors beer's made with water so fresh the fish ain't fucked in it yet.
Well, yeah, that's probably true, but I mean, I don't know what a bass tastes like. I can
Have
imagine.
another swig of that bud.
Yeah. I don't know where they make this stuff. I don't know where our closest brewery is. Maybe it's St. Louis. I don't know.
A lot of it's out of St. Louis. There used to be a handful of Anheuser breweries across the nation, like one in New York and one in Atlanta and one in St. Louis.
One of my buddies came over a couple weeks ago, and he's like, "Oh, you got to try this." He's a big IPA guy. He hands it to me, and I spit it across the garage. And like, "What the hell is this?" He says, "It's chocolate habanero." Who's the asshole decided that needed to be in a thing? Those don't go together.
You know, I had a guy give me a jalapeno beer one time,
Yep.
and it wasn't bad, but you know, you're gonna have one and you're done. And I'm like, I need more than a beer.
Right.
Anything else, you know? But it was okay. I was surprised. It tasted like jalapeno, but it tasted like a beer. It was okay.
Right. Now there's here in Michigan, I swear to God, they're putting breweries in the bathrooms of breweries, and a lot of them now carry a beer that's called peanut butter porter, and it is so good. It's got a real forward peanut butter flavor. It's like peanut butter and chocolate and beer all together in one. It's really good.
I'll try that. I don't know. That still don't sound like it's a good hanging out and drinking beer, but I don't know.
You'd
Maybe
be surprised how palatable that is. You could sit around the fire and suck down a couple of those.
I think I might have to give that a try when I get up there. It sounds good. As long as, you know, just as long as don't call me names or nothing, you know.
Right.
Hey,
Well, we're getting kind of uppity up here, John. We got natural gas furnaces in the shop now, and it's like 69 degrees in here, and
oh, look,
AC in the summertime.
I don't see no icicles hanging from the beard this time.
No,
I know.
Last year, this time, you couldn't even turn your head because your beard would be stuck to your chest right there.
yeah, I got me. Well, you might be able to see it, but that monstrosity resonator over there.
Yep, it's right above the wagon.
Oh, yeah. It's
That
just
thing is a beast too.
a big old gas burner.
Oh yeah.
185,000 BTUs.
I want to get one of them oil burning ones because, you know, with our stuff here, me and the the kid just went and recycled 250 gallons of oil.
Hmm.
So I want to get an oil burner. Maybe I can practically heat for free, during the winter.
Well,
I messed around with that oil drip stuff last winter. It gets hot. You
Yeah,
gotta babysit it. And
that
usually
was
when,
I was worried about.
that was
Yeah.
exactly what I would what I keep circling back to. I've looked at 100 different oil burning stove videos here on YouTube, and they all come down to the same thing. They all need to be babysat.
Yeah,
You can't turn your back on it. And you know, at first you're like, shop heat, and yeah, I'll be tinkering around in the garage. But yeah, to have to shut that whole thing down, to leave the shop for half an hour, to come back and light the whole thing up again, and then I got to leave again. So
well, and then I can't imagine you get yourself into a project. You're deep into it. You got to stop every 15 minutes to go take a look at it or something, just to make sure the corner's not on fire. I mean, I don't know. I've seen them and it looks like it works out pretty good, but
yes,
it does seem kind of scary. Peanut butter, beer.
now the wife got the gas bill for last month because I don't pay the gas bill, so therefore I heat my shop for free. It's 2024, no accountability.
Right.
Actually, it's 2025 now.
Man, that almost sounds like our federal government.
right.
Gas bill was $30 more than normal.
That's
And
insane.
$1 a day.
yeah,
$1 a day. I could quit drinking beer for that. I'd rather be warm than beer.
well, I've been testing it out because what was it, about 2 weeks ago? It was in the single digits, and at night it was 0, and then creeping beyond 0. And the wife came out here. She says, "How hot is it in here?" And there was one spot where I hadn't spray foamed yet, and it was raining a little bit there because of the condensation. And I walked over to the barn, and it says it's 72 degrees in here. I go to take a leak outside, and it's -2.
Right.
There's something about this that I like.
Now, is the snow, do you get it? You got it insulated enough so the snow can still build up on the roof?
It is now. I got some of the spray foam that they came out with a couple of years ago that comes in an aerosol can.
Yeah.
And the stuff works great, and you can do it, because I like doing things where everything's paid for instead of taking loans for junk.
I
And
agree.
So I just did, some this paycheck, and it's right now at 2.5 inches. It's like an R14 value.
So how much does that cost? Is it so much a can, or how does it work?
You can buy it in 48 packs, 24 packs, 12 packs, 6 packs, or it's singles. So a 12 pack will do 200 board feet, which if you calculate that out, that's like a 20 by 20 square, and that's $200.
Yeah, that ain't too bad though. I mean, I was thinking about it just the other day to do our barn. It was like, I want to say it was close to 1,000 to do the whole barns, 1,200 square foot, but we did it was the roof and the walls.
Yeah, well,
The barn's going to be quieter, and think of all the money you're going to save. It'll be cooler in the summer. It'll be warmer in the winter.
Yeah.
the only bad part is
Right.
well, it's good part in my book, but you lose all cell reception.
With the tin building, right?
That and the insulation on top of it.
Oh,
The
I didn't know
insulation.
it affected it.
Oh yeah.
Huh.
The insulation, like Dutch is suffering with, blocking signal. My house and my barn are made of block, and it's the same issue. It's
You
just
can't get
dense enough where signal just sucks.
Oh, well, I'm in a wood shed right now, and I don't know if I can get this stupid camera to move around where you can see it. I just have regular insulation,
Oh yeah.
and it's got, and I just use the Wi-Fi from the house. So I got this.
Yeah, I was telling Doug earlier, I got to get a better better D-Link setup. That way I can start doing things out here. The TV's got enough Wi-Fi reception to connect to everything because it's right against the outside wall. But as soon as you get past the threshold, it dies.
It's almost too bad that you couldn't run a secondary transponder just for the barn. That's piggyback to the one from the house.
Well, that's what the D-Link will do.
Oh, that's what the D-Link will do? Right on.
So the D-Link, I'll plug that into the outlet, the same one the router's on, and then I'll run a hard wire from the outlet or the D-Link to the router, and then it'll send that Wi-Fi through the wiring through the house because the garage. Oh, we lost John.
Jeez, what did we say?
The garage back pedals off of the house 100 amp sub panel,
Mm-hmm.
so it'll send the Wi-Fi out here.
That's pretty cool.
We use it on farms a lot. A lot. Big metal buildings, and they're far away, but everything's on the same breaker panel, and
Yeah.
farms that run their cameras just off D-Links.
Oh, isn't that crazy how technologically advanced these farms are getting?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sure you being a service guy, you go from everything from, something that was straight out of 1945 all the way up to the latest, greatest, brandy new stuff.
Don't
Mhm.
touch the Wi-Fi again.
Old Tall John angered the Wi-Fi gods.
I killed it.
There's one farm I go to. I can literally get on my work phone right now, and I can turn off their parlor.
Wow.
I
They
can
have
make
no protection.
no. I just have full access to their system.
Oh, gotcha.
I can make any changes they want. I can monitor their systems all right from my phone, so I can catch problems before they become problems. And then I just
Gotcha.
show up to the farm, and they're like, "Why are you here?" I'm like, "Well, this is broke. We didn't know anything about it." Yep.
That's why I'm here.
And that's why I have alerts on my phone. I can catch your cooling before your cooling becomes a problem. I can fix detachers, milkers, all that stuff. I like it, but in the other ways, it's like if somebody hacked your computer, they could shut down your farm.
Yep.
Old fucking Hebob in India, he could shut
Yep.
down your farm.
Okay, give me $400,000 and your farm's back up and running.
Yeah. Well, and then we got balloons flying around and drones flying around that nobody knows about. Hacking that thing's probably way easier than dealing with, I don't know, maybe it ain't, but it is neat how convenient that stuff is these days. They
Yeah.
got that one deal.
Scotty,
How's crap it, good boys?
What's happening? They got that one deal that you can hook up to your carburetor and monitor it with your phone.
are you talking about the carb cheater?
Yeah, the cheater. There you go.
Yeah, carb cheater.
Yeah, anything that's that convenient's got to be good. But can you imagine somebody broke into that one, Dutch, driving
Yeah.
down the road and all of a sudden start pouring fuel through the engine?
Or even worse, they lean it out to where it just burns the damn thing up.
Yeah, you got pistons with holes in them.
That's what broke my camshaft. That's what happened.
So
Somebody
the carb cheater, somebody hacked your carb cheater?
Yeah, somebody hacked my ABS too.
Yes.
That's why the
So they
lobes
hacked
ran.
my
flat.
ABS too.
They put BBs in the secondaries and you thought you were a hot rod and went, "Rah."
Hey, the key to a good cam loop's just undoing 2 spark plug wires.
Right.
Well, the machine shop went ahead and took care of that, didn't they?
Lunati told me basically to GF.
You gotta be kidding me.
Wouldn't cover it.
They told you to go frolic?
Yeah. Go frolic yourself.
Go from
So Lunati won't be getting any more of my money because that cam was in warranty.
yeah.
And then Hughes, they have a 90-day warranty. I was at day 102, and they didn't want to do anything either. But that's just luck of the draw.
I guess you got to get you got to get your channel built so big that you can be the bully pulpit and turn them around.
Well, look what happened to Chris Birdsong. He built that small block Chevy for his dad's old
Yeah, the Chevelle.
for the Chevelle.
Yeah.
And that was a Speedway head, and it dropped a valve head and got smashed back into the valve seat sideways. And he called Speedway, and Speedway said out of warranty. And he goes, "Let's be real, guys. There's what hot rodder these days are buying brand new parts and then instantly putting them on their build. Everything else sits in queue, just like everything else, till it's time to put her together."
Yeah.
And he goes, "They're brand new. It shouldn't matter that they're over 90 days old." And at first, Speedway was like, nope, we're not doing it. Well, he had, just like John was saying, he has enough clout to where he was able to say, Speedway did this to me. We'll leave the ball in their court, see if they do something. And suddenly, Speedway had a change of heart.
Yeah, son of a bitch. What do you know?
Well, what do you know?
Yeah, they took care of it. I don't
But
know.
that's-
Yeah, go
Go
ahead.
Go ahead, John.
I was just going to say, well, you know, anybody should be able to get that deal. You know what I mean?
Right.
And, you know, I'm glad that he was able to get it worked out because he's a cool dude. And
Very.
he does work on a shoestring budget too. Like we all do, really. I mean, we all got enough to make it by, but it's a hobby and a habit, you know. We got to have a little bit extra. But anyway, yeah.
Well, I'd much rather watch guys like the four of us who are working people who have a little pocket change and we play with our toys when we can and where we can, versus like the Cletus McFarlanes, which those are cool too, but you know, how many times can your answer be let's throw money at it?
Well, it depends on if you have money, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is one of the things that drives me up the wall, I gotta admit. But it's no, I mean, I'm with you. Cletus got the money. It's interesting to see big dollar stuff, but
It is,
I
but
would
it's
rather,
not obtainable.
yeah, I'd rather see somebody use their mind more than their money.
Exactly. Well, look at the great Smokey. I mean, Smokey built things that are astronomically awesome, and he didn't have, you know, big sponsorships, and he wasn't throwing bucket loads of cash at stuff. He was using his brain.
Well, I started looking into, because I'm doing a Hemi swap this year, and I know John loves to hear that. But
A Gen 3?
what's that?
A Gen 3?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead. Go.
So I started looking into that, and then the Hot Rods Garage did a Duster, a low buck Duster Hemi swap. And I started watching it, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna put these indie heads on it, and this blah 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 blah." They're showing the parts breakdown. It was like $9,000. They had the parts in this motor. I'm like, this is did not become budget.
I think that was one of the last episodes of that show I watched. Their budget swap was like a $10,000 motor by the time it was done.
Right.
Like that's not a budget. That's my budget's going to LKQ and pulling out a 120,000 mile Hemi out of a 2009 Ram pickup and then putting it in with an Amazon wiring harness.
And then going out and finding a set of Eagle heads and a decent intake and piecemealing yourself together. Yeah.
Dylan McCool did one. His Challenger, he put, I don't know what year motor it was, but a Gen 3, and he fuel injected it and, you know, did everything. And so I talked to him about it at Mo Party, and he said that the car probably has over 200 pounds in wiring alone. And I'm like, forget it. You know, and that's not the expensive part. The expensive part is, it's what I hate about my wife's truck. It does have good power, but it has no grunt. And it's got big tires on it. It's jacked up 900 feet in the air. And you hook a trailer to it and it shifts out of overdrive 24. I mean, every time you hit a hump, it's going, ah, you piece of crap, you know?
Right.
And I want to put some torque in the thing. So maybe a cam, a set of headers. Hey, I got an idea. Let me get one of these computers that I can go ahead and do what I need to do with this system. Well, $3,000 later, you can get Hollies, and I forget the other ones that's out there, $2,500. And I'm thinking, $2,500, I'll stick a 360 in here and can that freaking Gen 3 Hemi.
And yeah,
Now, I don't know. Holly makes an intake manifold to put a carburetor on a Gen 3.
yep.
So how much does it cost to do the ignition system on a Gen 3? Just the ignition system.
Well, I don't know what it would cost to do that conversion, Tall John, but I do know of carbureted guys taking the coil on plug Gen 3 Hemi ignition and adapting that to older engines to have the coil on plug.
All right.
So it can't be that terrible if the guys are swapping it onto their later model stuff.
Yeah, I know you can get a crank trigger for your small block Dodge or your big block. And then there's, whatever the computer takes to run that system. I don't know, how much does it cost is my big deal.
Isn't that manifold like $800 just by itself though? Isn't that a pretty expensive manifold, the carb conversion?
Oh, it might be. I don't know.
Everything's expensive.
Well, yeah, no, I would assume you'd be $2,000 into that by the time you're done with it, just between the car, the intake, the carb, and the random bits and pieces.
Yeah, and I'm more of I'd rather work on a carburetor. So I think if I was to do it, even if it costs more than putting a fuel injection on, I'd probably do the carburetor so I could be more hands-on with it.
Right.
But it still is defeating the whole idea to me of budget. And I like a Gen 3 Hemi. It ain't for me, though, I'm telling you. I'll tell you what, her truck, when it shifts down, if you're going 55, 75 down the freeway and you want to pass somebody and you push it, that transmission kicks down 2 or 3 gears and you are gone. That thing takes off. It runs really good.
Yes.
But as soon as the thing gets up into overdrive and locks up a converter, what a dog. What a slug. And then it has to shift down every 2 seconds. And anyway, but I do like it. I mean, I ain't doing it though.
My daily driver is an 07 Ram, and I love that. That's a great truck when it's not acting up.
I can testify to its power on the highway after that little incident. So,
yeah.
Hers is an 07, so they probably got the same engine in them.
Yep.
5.7 or whatever it is.
Mine's got a 5.7 in it, and mine's has a few little extra goodies tossed at it. Like I bought it with a cold air intake. I bought it with long tube headers, and it's got nice Rancho shocks all the way around it, and it's an all right little truck.
Now, I mean, I don't know what the headers cost, but how hard are they to put in that truck?
I don't know. I bought the truck done, so. But it doesn't look, there's lots of room. And once you've looked at stock Gen 3 Hemi exhaust manifolds and then look at headers, the headers are the obvious choice.
Yeah. I know it makes a big difference on those things. And that's one of the things I was talking to Chris about was Gen 3, how much the cam makes a difference. It's a piss poor. And I'm sure it's because of our federal government getting in the way.
Right.
But it's a horrible camshaft that comes in those things.
I'm hearing. Oh, go ahead, Scott.
Isn't Dodge the hardest one of them all to kind of tune, though? Aren't they the most likely to brick or have their own proprietary BS software from all the big three?
I don't know.
As far as the computer part?
Being able to program it, like as far as I knew from the stuff I've watched and people I've talked to, of the 3 big makers, they're the hardest to program with because they lock all their stuff down and have their own code, so it's kind of a pain in the ass unless I'm missing something or what I heard isn't real anymore.
Dutch, you take this one. I know nothing about it.
I'm putting a carb on mine.
Yeah.
I know. Is the only guy who actually likes CFI. I do apologize.
I don't dislike it. I just don't like the expense of it. It's really not as complicated as it seems either. I just don't like the money involved.
Right.
Being that I do wide open stuff, carburetors make more power than fuel injection anyway.
Yes.
And when I see a guy tinkering on his laptop at the drag strip and keeps tinkering, and I'm blowing his doors off continuously, and I'm pulling the spark plug out, oh, this dummy needs a bigger jet.
Hey, Jed.
And we're rocking
Doing
and
great.
rolling. So, what up, Jed? So I do like EFI though. I don't have a big issue with it at all.
Here's one of the problems that I have with these EFI systems, whether it be whoever makes it, is you are now a slave to their system. So you've got to go find the Holly parts, the Edelbrock parts, the Phytech parts, whatever, to make everything all happy and harmonious. So you've got to have their throttle positioning sensor, and you've got to have their exhaust temperature sender, blah 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 blah. So if one of those things dies, you're at the local speed part shop trying to find this stuff.
Well, that was like I worked on my friend's Aspen 43, and he had the Holly Sniper kit on it, and it had that Holly distributor. I'm trying to think of what the hell it's called. It's part of the Sniper kit, and all essentially was it's a copy from Ford, but it's a photo eye distributor, and the photo eye went bad. So didn't think no big deal. Get the part from Holly, order it, get it here, I can get it fixed. Nope. Holly says those distributors are non-serviceable. You have to buy a new one.
Oh gosh.
Of course.
Or you can send it, Hyperspark. There you go. Dean's got it. And meanwhile, his car's sitting here. He dropped it off a week before we had to go racing. He's from Iowa. And so I called him, like, Holly says you got to order a whole new Hyperspark. Or you can send it to them, and it starts at $180 to get it rebuilt, but it's a 6 to 8 week wait time. Yeah, because Holly doesn't build it themselves. MSD does. But I'm like, okay, so I can order the part from MSD? Nope, you have to send it to us, then we send it to MSD, then they send it back to us, then we send it to you. And that's about the most back-assward thing I've ever heard in my life. I get you're having
to
built
sure
by
they get paid. That's what it is.
Yeah, but they're all owned by the same. It's all one conglomeration now. That's even weirder because it just seems like they're kicking themselves directly in the ass.
Unfortunately,
we did get a Holly guy in that whole thing, but I did the inner redneck thing because I believe in things that work and things that I have on my shelf. So I took the whole, because what happened was that car was racing, and he does autocross road racing just like I do, and he had really poor battery connections, and it lost the positive for half of a second, and then it came back, and it backfed the system, and it fried the throttle body, it fried the CDI box, it fried the distributor, took everything out in the whole system. So he got a new throttle body, which is the brain, and then I started looking at it, and I started breaking it down, and I'm like, you know what? This is either going to work or it's not. But right now we have a fuel pump that works, and we have the rest of the computers telling the rest of it to work and everything. We just don't have spark. So I went over to the shelf, and because I buy stuff from swap meets like everybody else does, and I had this really junk Amazon HEI distributor that I'm never going to use that just requires 12 volts. So we stabbed her in the hole. We got rid of the CDI box and all that nonsense, and we went racing on Sunday with a $35 Amazon distributor. And that's 2 years ago that I've done that, and that is still in that car to this day because he doesn't want to change it because it works. And the car runs better than when it had the Holly nonsense in there.
Hey,
go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, as far as that proprietary stuff with Chrysler, I think his name is Jay or Jason. Jed knows. Gosh darn it, what the heck is the name of his channel? Anyway, I believe he worked for Chrysler or worked for a Dodge dealership or something like that. He had a brand new Dodge truck. This is maybe 4 years ago. Rabid Transit is his channel. And so he told me that he went to the truck didn't run right. And so he went down to the dealership, and the tech got in there and he drove it, whatever. He says, I can't now. I can't even duplicate the problem. He says, well, I'll take you for a ride in it. So that he takes him for a ride. And he says, doing this, and he shows him. And they get back to the shop. He says, go get your scanner or your tool and let's go for a drive. And he said, no, I can't do that. And he said, oh, you're not allowed to take the scanner out of the shop. He says, no, that's not it. I can't have my scanner connected to your computer unless it's hooked to the Wi-Fi. Mother Mopar has to be connected while you're diagnosing the truck. And I'm going, that is, or you won't see. I'm sorry. I'm going to say this the way I want to say it here. I am not a Chevy guy. I hate the damn things. They are the most overrated hunk of garbage on the planet. And I'll own a 69 Camaro with a inline 6-cylinder in it before I have a brand new Dodge pickup truck with that garbage in it. I'm sorry, that's crap. And I hear the war stories about people having the warranty issues and they bring it down there and the dealership messes with them. But I hear that with every, Ford and Chevrolet too. But I'm sure these engines and the technology is amazing, but it won't let you can't get in and do your own thing anymore unless you have a $1 zillion diagnostic piece of equipment. And
Right.
It just bugs the hell out of me.
And on top of owning that $1 zillion piece of diagnostic equipment, you have to have a membership to each brand. So if you service Fords, you have to have the Ford program. If you do Mopars, and you pay for that monthly or yearly at a time. So it's ongoing. It's a subscription. So
there are ways to cheat the system, but yeah, it's the bigger. It's even more than that. With us being in Detroit, it's if your car is basically a laptop now, what happens to your laptop 5 years from now? It becomes obsolete. If they don't continue to write the programs, they don't update the stuff, and nobody pays attention to it, you have a brick.
Right.
Because everything is controlled through the systems. My mom's has a newer Escape, and it's all push button and all stuff, and that's great and all. I'm a tactile guy, I guess, but everything's a mouse pad. If it breaks, you're screwed. I mean, like a tail light is $3,000 if it screws up the system. It's
right.
It's pointlessly complicated.
Yeah.
That is 100%.
Yeah.
The only unfortunate thing that I see is 20 years from now, what are these high school kids going to be driving?
Yeah.
They aren't. That's
Right.
the point.
Nobody's going to be restoring Hellcats because you can't get the parts for them.
You can't get the parts now.
Yeah.
Or you're not willing to go through the labor it takes to keep it up and going.
Yeah.
I mean, the high school shop classes that don't exist now, is it going to be high school computer class so you can fix your 25-year-old RAM?
Yeah.
Well,
I think some of that will change, but for the next couple of years, it's going to get worse first.
Yeah.
I'm hearing about OBD3 on the horizon, and this stuff is kind of scary. Like, it's because the EPA got their fingers into it. This OBD3 sounds like we cannot even modify it at all.
Yeah, the OBD3, I don't know. I mean, it used to be the government made it so we could work on our stuff. Now it doesn't seem like we're getting help from the feds anymore.
Well, no, it's going to be we're going to be seeing right to repair laws coming through pretty soon, just like with farmers and tractors.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
where
I
it's headed.
heard about that. I just heard about that.
Well, here's what happened to Lady Duckster's coworker a few years ago.
baby.
Yeah. Is that a Clifford?
It's the limited edition gold version.
Yeah.
Gold.
Yeah.
I love gold.
Got EGR on it. That's good stuff.
So a few years back, Lady Duckster's coworker bought one of those new Dodge Darts, the little wannabe Fiats with the Dodge Dart name on it. And it's Hemi orange and black, and it was a good-looking car. And she had just nothing but problems with it. The thing ran like it had a big old race cam in it. One day I went and dropped lunch off to my lady, and she pulled up in the Dart, and it ran like a Top Fuel dragster. And what it ended up being is its antenna, because it's supposed to receive updates all the time. The antenna wasn't working properly, therefore it wasn't receiving updates. So it's going off of whatever, and it's running like absolute garbage. And it was a revolving door in and out of the Chrysler garage. And then finally, Chrysler gets a hold of her and says, we're going to basically wipe the slate clean on your car. You don't owe us anything. And she goes, oh, great. So what dealership do you want me to turn it into? They're like, keep it. They gave her the car for free.
You should have went to the casino that day.
Right? And she said she basically turned around and put that car up for sale and was completely honest to whoever was going to buy it that, basically once this car's out of warranty, you're screwed.
Yeah. Wow.
And somebody bought it.
Wow.
Probably
I
a
know.
YouTuber.
There's one of the things that kind of hit me last week when this guy drove to Las Vegas and blew up his the Cybertruck over there at Trump.
Oh, yeah.
They tracked him by every time he plugged the truck in. So it's every time you plug in, it's communicating with someplace.
Absolutely.
Every car has Wi-Fi now. Everything you drive that's built within the last 2 to 3 years is always constantly communicating.
So are they going to start handing out tickets every time your car shows you're above the speed limit?
It's very possible, John.
Well, look at that stuff with the Geico or that company where a safe driver thing where you plug in an OBD2 reader and it tells the insurance
State
company
Farm.
it's nanny state shit. They're trying to get you to buy into that crap. That's going to save me money. Not in the long run. It's just more
Not
control.
in the long run.
Yeah.
Well, a number of years ago, I think this happened during the pandemic. A guy was trying to go for the cannonball run where you run from New York to San Francisco as fast as you can. Well, he was tackling the EV record, and he had I want to say it was a Tesla Model S or something like that he had extensively modified. And it took him, if he ran the battery down to as low as possible without it actually going dead DOA, if he could limp it into a Tesla supercharger as dead as possible, it took 40 minutes to charge it. So he would pull in and take a 40-minute nap. And then once he's recharged, he's off and going. And he was 3/4 of the way across the nation. And then all of a sudden, his car went into limp mode and he had to pack it in. And he figures something broke on his car. And he figures that Tesla finally figured it out that he went from this charging station and passed 3 others to get to this charging station. And they probably figured out the distance between the two and said, holy balls, he's moving. And he kept doing that. And I think he goes, I can't prove it, but I think they addled me on purpose.
Jeez. Like using too much internet and they throttle it back?
Exactly.
Yes, I don't know.
Yeah, you've exceeded your bandwidth, sir.
Yep.
Yes. Getting a chair adjustment here.
Yeah, so nothing like having Big Brother looking over my shoulder the whole time, huh?
I think what's funny about that is just talking to somebody about that. It's like, I've got nothing to hide,
Exactly.
and nobody's going to be staring at me because what are they going to get from me, right? Blood out
Right.
of what, I killed a bug the other day. Sorry. It's just, so I get that, but I don't know. I mean, can we spend the money somewhere else? How about you don't tax the hell out of me, and I'll spend more money on a television and put somebody to work.
No, it's not even that you've got nothing to hide. It doesn't matter if you haven't committed a crime. You have no business to be looked at. You can't do pre-crime. You have to investigate things after they happen. You can't.
Yeah.
Everybody isn't automatically guilty just for breathing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Stop blaming everybody for the actions of one stupid person.
One of the things that always bothered me is, let's say that I have a pasture full of cows. I've got plenty of land and a pasture full of cows. And Tall John's over there and he forgets to lock the gate and all my cows get out. Okay. No big deal. So I get a hold of Scott and Dutch and me and John, the four of us all go out and we get the cows put back into the pasture. Everything's fine. 4 hours later, everyone's back home and accounted for. Well, if the government gets wind of this, then Congress is going to have an inquiry on this, and they're going to deliberate over this for a month to figure out that, yeah, Tall John left the gate open. Why did we have to do that?
Because it looks official and important. Nothing actually ever gets done. If you watch them, the left and the right argue at something, and they talk and they say a bunch of big words, and then nothing ever changes.
And here's one proof of it. We got daylight savings coming up in a few months.
Again,
cannot get rid of it. What the hell? I mean, our government can't change a stinking thing, but take more of your money.
But then you have other places like the area where my aunt lives in northern Indiana. She doesn't operate on Chicago or on daylight savings time. So it's always confusing when she starts talking about the time. Well, here it's this time, but in this county it's this time, and la 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 la, and it's like my brain hurts.
Hey, just remember, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, I don't know. I'm hoping that things are going to get better, but we're going to see. Been around for a little while and it ain't happened yet. My favorite president died a few years back, and that even then there wasn't a whole lot of help, I don't think.
Well, I almost got to be drain commissioner in my county this year.
Wow.
That's a scary thought.
Wow.
Were you a write-in candidate or what?
I was. I got a letter in the mail and everything asking if I want to be on the ballot.
Wow.
Really?
Got that many write-in votes. So
How did you get was that like, did you actually like halfway pursue this, or did someone think that you'd be perfect for this job?
no, all my neighbors want me to be drain commissioner. We're all fighting the government right now for a creek that runs on all of our properties, and I'm the loudest person on it because I don't want the government to put an easement on my property because I have a creek, and they want to turn it into a county drain so all the farmers and all their pesticides and manure can run through my backyard.
I think I remember you talking about that last year.
Like you said, I just figured you're trying to give out a free puppy for a vote thing, and that finally caught up with you or something.
No, so
We didn't have any puppies.
I bet they saw how well you treat your kids and thought you'd do the same with theirs too.
Right?
no, I told the wife, I said next election time, I think our drain commissioners run unopposed too many times, so it might be time to take it serious. It pays $80,000 a year.
I'll vote for you.
Yeah, so will I. I'll even vote multiple times.
My grandfather been gone for a while, but he voted Democrat this year.
That's the sad thing of all is it really makes you, a friend of mine was sending me a whole bunch of interesting things, and it showed like the past, I want to say 5 elections, and they showed how many for the Democrat and the Republican all the way through. And then not this past election, but the election before, and they showed how everything else was moving at a nice progression, right? Slightly on an uphill scale until the election before last, and they were like each were a third more.
Well, let's see. We're taking count already, Dutch, and you've got right now 5 votes, including yourself.
Oh man.
Mama M will too. I'm pretty sure.
Dutch for president, 28.
Yep.
Dean will. Man,
Dutch and Doug, the ticket we can believe in. Mopar's for everybody.
That's right. Make Mopars great again.
Yeah.
But look, you can't do this to make your own thing get better. You're going to have to give that stuff away to us. We can handle your hoard.
Yeah, I actually have my own Mopar. It's a giant pile of steaming shit, but I have one now. So
Right?
I'll pay the $30 a month to heat your garage.
That would be a bribe, Tall John.
Oh, I didn't say that.
no,
Hey.
campaign contributions are not bribes, Doug.
Oh, this is right. This is right.
Well, actually, a fascinating thing that's come into play, at least in my industry, the past few years, these bigger dairies are actually starting to sell methane, and it's paying
yes.
for their whole operations cost.
Yes.
Wow.
So, like, they're for paying their people and new equipment and stuff. Like, we have one farm, they milk 4,000 cows. They sold like $1.7 million in methane last year, and it cost them zero.
There
What is
is a facility over in Zealand that deals in, they're very big. I won't mention their name, but they deal in soybeans. And they do a lot of soybean processing work there. And probably, I'd say, as the crow flies 4 miles away, is a landfill. Well, they plumbed into the landfill and they run their whole facility off of methane from the landfill. If the landfill were to close its doors right now, that soybean processing place has 30 years of methane on tap.
Yep.
I've heard stuff like that before. Now, how do they? So it doesn't cost them anything to sell it. Does somebody come out and get it and purchase it off the land, so they don't have to pay for equipment or anything?
Yes.
Wow.
The equipment pays for itself in 3 months.
Well, Michigan State University is one of the premier agricultural colleges in the nation. Like, some of the top vets in the nation come out of Michigan State, and a lot of great agricultural things, farming community wide, comes out of Michigan State. And a number of years ago, they had their own basically methane they were running their facility off of the methane generated from cow poop.
Yep. And I mean, we're trying to get more dairies to switch to this, because if you're talking your production cost, or your everyday expenses are paid for, you don't have to do anything.
Right.
That means your
and
money.
It's something that you have anyway. I mean, if we could turn anything into something else, we would. I mean, that's a reason why we don't throw away scrap metal, because that all can be reused into something else. Same thing.
Because obviously, the windmills they got in the whole thumb, those don't work. Those aren't fiscally sound.
Right.
I hate that every time you go to the thumb. It's as soon as you get past Lansing, it's just nothing but windmills. It's disgusting.
Yep.
And if you ever go to the the thumb, and you're there at night, they all blink that red light at the same time. You'll see just like every 10 seconds, the whole sky will be just red for a second.
It's like zombies.
It would drive me nuts to live there. It just pissed me off every time I go outside.
Well, I was talking about wind. We're talking about wind power and everything. And my friend, Jason, he lived in Minnesota, out where they have actual wind farms, and it's 1,000 acres, and it's nothing but these roads, and they all are service lanes to go to all these wind towers. And he goes, green energy, my ass. He goes, they maintain them about as good as most people maintain their cars. One will have leaked oil. The whole stem of it will be covered in oil because it's leaked that much out. They won't tear it down and fix the problem. They'll just keep pumping oil to it to keep her full and keep her going.
Yeah, but that's government boondoggle, though. That's somebody's brother's, uncle's, nephew's, cousin's, daughter's, niece has a wind farm, and that's what they want to do. And it's all that money. They can just keep getting shit out the back end, and nobody really pays attention. And you can say, we're going green. It's like anything else they grab onto.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you go up to Mackinac Bridge and cross over from the upper peninsula to the lower peninsula or vice versa, on the west side, there is one of the largest wind turbines I've ever seen there. And she's working away, and it kind of takes away from the landscape, I really have to say.
Yeah.
Because
They
it's
got
such a beautiful view.
They got that all through Arizona and California, and I mean that them stupid windmill farms are all over the place.
Yeah,
What
they
I
don't
was told, the only reason they can do it is because the government subsidizes it. And I don't think that by the time they're done maintaining it and having to rebuild it, that it's produced enough electricity to pay for itself yet. I don't believe.
No, as a matter of fact, I heard that a new windmill, it will not even offset its own carbon footprint of it being made after its 20 years of service life is up.
Yeah, what a joke. Just like electric cars, what a joke.
Oh, the electric cars just blew me away. You know, there's a reason why jet engines, yeah, that's southwest of the bridge, Old Mac. Jet engines are hard to build because of cobalt. It's that high temperature metal that's really hard to source. Well, they're using cobalt to make these batteries, so they're mining to the very depths of this earth trying to get that rare metal to
and they're
build
using
these
child
batteries.
slave labor to do it, which nobody
Exactly.
seems to want to talk about either. There's so much. It's just be honest with people. Let people actually make up their own damn minds.
Yeah. I got somebody
Well-
sent me a picture of a car with smoke coming out of the tailpipe, and the driver's saying, I feel so dirty. And then the next car has an electrical cord going way off in the distance, and there's the power company with smokestacks and smoke's coming out of it. And he says, I feel so clean.
Oh yeah.
And
Well,
so
basically,
anytime you're transferring electricity, you're wasting more energy to push the power to the vehicle to charge it. But at the same time, what you're talking about, these rare earth materials and the amount of diesel and the mechanical work that's done to get these things out of the ground, the carbon footprint doesn't zero till they got to replace the battery again. You know
Right.
what I mean? It's so dumb.
and eventually we're going to have to strip these batteries down to recycle them so we can create them into something else again. And you know that's going to be a huge pain in the ass.
Oh yeah, yeah. One of my neighbors, they got one of them Chevy Bolts when they were brand new.
Yep.
Put a big battery pack in his garage. He lives out in San Diego, and he charges the batteries when he's gone at work. He didn't buy electricity for like 8 or 9 years, for his house to charge his car. Right now, he went through 900 tires because the cars weigh like 8,000 pounds, even though you can't hardly put 2 mice and yourself in the car. But in any case, the battery went out in it, and the battery was like $9,000. But he had to have the dealer do it because the dealer is the only one apparently the government feels is okay enough to recycle the battery. And then you pay a recycling fee on top of it. It's like, well, wait a minute. I got a car battery I find out in the field. I can roll down to the scrapyard and make money off of the thing, but you can't do that with the battery. It's just so pathetic, everything about it. So he gets the new battery put in his car, sets him back where it's probably $12,000 by the time it's all said and done. Now he's making payments again on this piece of garbage.
Yeah.
And then his battery rack in the house takes a dump, and here we go again. And
Right.
now he's set back $18,000 or something. Like, are you happy now, people?
A friend of mine before, he is now fully retired. He was a GM tech for 35 years before he went out on his own and started his own repair shop. And at the end of his tenure as an actual GM mechanic, he was starting to work on those hybrid Tahoes. And he was telling me the battery in a Tahoe is the dimension of the back seat. And so you got to take the whole back seat base out and then there's the battery, and then you can go and test, and then let's figure that one cell's bad in the battery and it's right dead smack in the middle. He says you begin at one side and everything unplugs like Legos. And he says you just work your way to where that dead cell is. You replace that one cell with snap it in, and then you just rebuild it back like it was, and off you go.
No, that's decent.
Yeah. And he said that hybrid Tahoe, it had a 6.2 or a 6.4 V8 engine in it, but no transmission. It also has brakes on all four tires, but when you hit the brake pedal, they don't work. The computer will make them cycle every so often to keep the rust scale. They're like a secondary system. So as
like
you're
a
driving, the drive motor turns to a generator, and that's what slows the vehicle down to back charge into the
like
battery.
a diesel locomotive where it's doing dynamic braking.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah.
I like some of the thought process, but you can't subsidize it. That's my problem.
Right.
Stop throwing money at something. Let it work its way out. The free market will make it happen eventually if it can be happening.
Right.
Boys, I got to cruise. I got to finish getting ready for the little salty road trip to the auto show tomorrow for the car. So
have fun, Scott. Good seeing you.
Good to see everybody.
See ya.
Bye, guys.
Here's the craziest thing of all. He was saying that Tahoe would get like 28 or 29 MPG.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard that too with the buddy of mine that used to work for the Toyota dealership, and they're getting 50, 60 miles out of those hybrids, right? Little cars.
Mm-hmm.
And but he said they get better mileage in town than they do out on the highway, which is the opposite, but that's okay. It's still got 40, 50 miles a gallon. And it makes perfect sense to me. That to me makes perfect sense.
Right.
The way
it also used to get 50, 60 miles a gallon.
All that. What's that?
So it also used to get 40 miles of the gallon?
Oh yeah.
An awesome Carter 2-barrel carburetor. Uh-oh.
Oh, I freeze?
No, you didn't freeze.
Some of our pictures are gone. Oh, now we're all back. Jed, did you do that?
Yeah. Blame Jed.
He's in the house now, so he's got to be at the computer where he can get on camera.
At mission control.
He said maybe. I knew you did that, Jed. Now, we had a good conversation today. I miss talking with everybody. I've been out of the loop with work and all that stuff, but I got to get back in it. It's frustrating when your computer goes down. You just want to throw your hands up in the air and drink a beer.
Right. I actually have been trying to not go high tech. I mean, I do everything off of my phone. And at first I was like, eventually I'll strive for better and then work my way up from there. But I kind of like the simplicity of this whole thing.
Yeah. Well, it's like what we're talking about with our cars, computerized stuff. Our cars are simple.
Yes.
And we use God's physics instead of, I guess electricity's sort of there. But anyway, besides that,
right.
I prefer the old mechanical side of things. I'm getting 17 miles a gallon out of my full-size Dodge pickup truck with a 440 in it. And I know there's more left, and that's one of the things I've been working on. You'll start seeing some of it if I ever get a video put out again. But anyway, I'm with you. I just use a cheap freebie. I don't even know how to use the phone. So my simplicity is what I've just started with. But everybody's like, the phone's way easier. I'm going, no, it ain't. I don't want to learn something new. No, I can't hear you. I just want to do my thing and be good with it, But
with your 17 mile per gallon Dodge truck, now I know what you're about, and I know that you're being perfectly honest. But when you have someone who doesn't know what Tall John's about, have you ever gotten 17 miles to the gallon with a non-overdrive Dodge pickup with a 440? Bull. I'm sure you get that a lot.
Yeah, all the time. And that's what's going in it next is an overdrive. No, not next, but it's coming up. I just
Right.
got the transmission redone, cut the bell housing off, put an ultra bell on it so I can
Boy, they're
overdrive.
proud of those, aren't they?
Yeah, they are now, ain't they?
Yes, they are proud of those.
Thanks to our
I
last.
really want to put a 518 behind my big block, but I mean, I'm actually just going to go find a locking 727, regular 3-speed 727, but with lockup and build that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to do they do sell an adapter kit for, like I'm talking out because I don't know. I haven't looked at it for a while. Last time I looked was about $215. But you're right. I mean, the ultra bell
Ultra bells are like $1,000 though.
mine was like $490 for the ultra bell.
That's easier to swallow.
Yeah, well, that was like 3 years ago too.
Yeah, before things went absolutely stark raving bananas.
Yeah. And it's like we were talking about earlier, you make these kind of changes, it'll eventually pay for itself. My goal is to get 21 miles a gallon out of a 440 powered pickup truck.
I believe you can do it.
I don't know if, first I want to get 20, but I think I can get 20. So my shot is to go further than what I feel.
Well, even if you had switched up and just put the lockup guts inside your 727 that's in that Dodge,
yeah,
just lockup alone is going to save you like 500 or 600 RPM.
oh yeah, absolutely. And then it keeps all the fluids cooler, better.
Oh, yes. Yes.
It is way better. And the thing is with the truck with the high gear that it's not a big gear. It's got a 373. But still, I believe that's what's going to put me right in there. So lean is green.
Yep. Lean is mean too.
Yeah, lean is mean.
I'm going to stick with my gear vendor.
Well, gear vendor is easy, but that's super expensive.
Yes.
No.
And you still don't have your locking converter.
Yeah, you still don't lock. Yeah, take that. You still don't get a lockup.
Well,
Yeah, but I got a third pedal, so I can split all the gears.
this is true. Big John Cope did a video breaking it down. And he said, because he's a gear vendor's dealer, and he's like, I can get a gear vendor's unit for X. And he says, now take that same money, I can build you a 518 and have overdrive and locking torque converter and still be cheaper than the gear vendors.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
And the other thing too is when you do the overdrive, like the gear vendors, that runs your converter even harder. You're putting a bigger load up there. You've got to build the torque because you still got to apply the same amount of torque to the rear wheels to keep you at speed.
that's
So
why
now
you
you
get
have to build the torque through the engine. Well, that's going to push it through the converter, and now you heat up your oil more, and you push things on their edge there. So lockup converter is the only way to go.
that's with the attached gear vendor though. I run the divorced style.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Through your manual transmission.
Through your manual. We're
Well,
talking automatic.
Yeah, but you can put the divorced unit behind the automatic as well.
The same thing. You still load the converter.
So, with your gear vendors in a manual, you can run it first straight, first overdrive, then switch back to straight, shift second, and then do second gear overdriven, and so on and so forth, right?
You're not technically supposed to run them under 30 miles an hour because it's bad for the clutches.
Okay.
I have. But, I mean, I've had that gear vendor that's been behind that motor since 1990. Never had anything service work done
Hey,
besides
you know what?
an
In
oil change.
In 1990, one of my major sponsors when I was racing my car was gear vendor because the guy that I was working with, a guy named Steve, his dad was part owner of Gear Vendor back then. So
Oh.
you actually sponsored my stock car for a minute, or
I
whoever
wasn't,
bought that unit.
I wasn't alive in 1990,
Yeah.
but
You still were pink though. You were the dream in your mom and dad's eye. You were pink.
In
Oh, my-
1990, I was in junior high.
my dad was 15.
Yeah. Did he buy it or his folks buy it, or who bought it? People that had the truck before.
People that bought the truck knew that truck was originally used. The guy bought it. It's an 89. It was an 89 D350 dually single cab, and the guy got really pissed off because he was having problems with the DOT. So he bought this truck to not have DOT problems. So day one, the truck went down to the local place and it got re-geared to a 488 gear and had the gear vendor installed. And he would use it to haul his combine from field to field.
Wow. That'll work.
Yeah,
It'll
that's
work.
put together proper.
And
Yeah,
then I
Gear
took,
they were
took
made in Santee, California, which is over by Cajon Speedway, where I grew up racing.
Okay.
now I got that set up in Lurch. And I did the smart thing and I put the divorced unit where the carrier bearing is or was. So now I don't have a carrier bearing.
That's a good idea.
Take the weak link out of the system.
Yes.
That's pretty smart. I didn't think of you that way.
I don't.
Gear
you only
vendor
want that.
unit that I remember seeing was I was probably a teenager, and one of my dad's friends had a 50 Merc, like a lead sled, and he had a gear vendor's. Well, it was a gear vendor's overdrive unit, but he used it as an underdrive. He had he had highway cruiser gears out back, so he'd begin in underdrive and then go to overdrive and then go to straight.
So kind of put what do they used to call that? A splitter? Isn't that what they used to
Yeah.
call the big trucks? Was a splitter?
Like a splitter, like high-low range.
Yeah.
T-Bar was the famous company for it.
So, you know how like heavy-duty trucks have the two-speed rear axles? How come no one has ever used a two-speed axle in like their hot rod?
I'm assuming they don't make one small enough.
I agree. But you'd think by now someone would have got a wild hair in their patoot and at least gave it a day in court. I've never seen someone try.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's if there's some sort of compromise in strength, or there's
It's probably weight. It probably boils down to weight.
yeah. Well, I think it would be. Well, I don't know. Maybe it is unsprung, and we don't give a crap about that in a big rig.
Right.
And of course,
I think it'd be a bolt pattern issue more than anything.
to be what?
Bolt pattern issue more than anything.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, all a Dana 60 is a heavy duty truck rear axle that they made lighter duty to swap into like the Roadrunners and muscle cars and whatnot.
Yeah,
So
put
they
the
took
right
they took a full floater and made a semi floater out of it. So
Yeah.
if I can do that to a Dana 60, how come I couldn't do that to that 2-speed axle?
Absolutely, you could do it. You could easily do it. You could put whatever axle flange on the end you want, and as long as you can feed the spline, it just that it would be so big. I mean, I remember that
It'd be
When I-
huge.
when I was out in California, I worked for a plumbing company, and they had a dump truck with a 2-speed in it, and that pumpkin was, I'm sure, like this big around.
Yes, sir.
And so, as far as that goes, weight for sure. Now, could they downsize that to be more realistic for a car? Why couldn't they?
Right. Well, on those old semi trucks, those 2-speed unit, the actual shifter itself, the motor then designed to shift it, it's the same size as like a Mopar direct drive starter from back in the day. They're huge.
Right. Yeah, because your shifter just had a knob on it. You pick it
Yep.
up, pull the gear, push it down, push the other gear, whatever.
But wouldn't that be great to have like a 488 and a 273 on tap, or you could. I feel like taking off like a streak of shit everywhere I go. Leave her in the 488,
Yeah.
or hit the switch, and now we're in 273s, and we're turning low RPMs and just cruising the highway.
Yeah. Yeah, Jed, that rear end in your truck is like the size of them 2-speeds that I'm talking about.
Oh, his green Dodge,
Yeah, the big dump truck.
the big dump truck. Yeah, I think that should have a 2-speed rear axle on it.
Hey, I can make you guys jealous. I got to blow the horn when I was over at his house.
Oh man, Jed is awful proud of that air horn.
Yep.
I'd be tooting it all the time too if I had one.
I know. I don't know how. I got a bus in the yard, and every time I walk down there, I blow that thing. Womp womp.
Well, right, because it's cool.
Yeah.
We had
boys,
a
my wife's hollering at me.
okay.
Yeah, and I think I'm down to. Oh, I only got one left. I better. That sounds good.
I'm down to 4% charge anywho, so I was going to jump off anyhow.
All right. Well, we'll shut this down. for tonight.
We need to all get together again, kind of try to make something happen with this thing. But it's good with that being able to see everybody's face again. And
Hell yeah. It's good to be seen.
as soon as I get my thing all fixed up in here, I can be up regular instead of. I feel like I'm laying in bed watching everybody.
Well, we'll shut her down then. So,
We'll see. ya.
Guys, have a
See you
great
guys.
evening. Great seeing you.
Good
Bye,
seeing-
everyone in chat.
Later,
Night.
Later, Dustin.
later.